what are a couple of the communication secrets to create distributor satisfaction?
Mark, from my days in network marketing with a variety of companies, I realized that sometimes, as you've just shared with us, when the higher up upline feels superior to the rest of the networking team, it's important to realize when you are the leader that everyone has their place. And when you are sharing information with your team, do not just praise those that do well, but particularly praise those that might be struggling a little bit, those that seem to not quite get there, what their goals are, even though they set them enthusiastically. There may be a huge variety of reasons for a person not performing so well, struggling with something. When you can acknowledge that as the leader, when you can have a quiet word with them, they just come out of their shells so much easier, and all of a sudden things move and things happen for them, and of course then for you as the leader too. The more you can acknowledge those that are quieter in your team as well, the more the strengths of your team will come together. All those links connect a lot deeper and a lot stronger for you and for the team with that. The secret is to be aware of all of the people in your team, not just those that are constantly there and in front of you and really doing well. The quieter ones want to do well, they just don't, personality-wise or whatever their reasons are, always speak up as much. So I think that is what sometimes leaders just don't realize. The quieter ones have the same value as those that do well and perform. That's a big one.
Yeah, and as you were talking about that, I started thinking that a lot of times those individuals that are struggling, they may very well be working twice or 3 times or 4 times harder than someone else, but they just don't have the skill. But so you need to, as a leader, recognize their effort, recognize what they're putting in. And of course, you mentioned this, never, and you didn't use this word, I'm not sure what you used, but I'm going to use, never chastise them or bring their flaws out in front of the rest of the team members.
No.
If you see something that they can improve on, go ahead and catch them after the meeting, pull them off to the side, give them a call the next day, and have that one-to-one conversation. Because I remember back in school, and of course I'm just a hillbilly from Idaho. I grew up on a farm, and I was the shy, quiet one in school. And I have a few teachers. I remember my freshman year in high school, the first day, and I'm going to use his name, but Mr. Smith, I forget the exact question, but Mr. Smith asked me a question, and I responded. It was an English class, and I responded, and my answer was grammatically incorrect. And so in front of 30 of my peers and friends, he corrected me. And from that day forth, I just kind of sat in the back of the room, and he had not just in his class, but all classes, and I wouldn't come forward and participate. And so always be sensitive to that. That's how true leaders are.
Being very sensitive to other people. That's what I would agree, Mark, what leaders are. They are sensitive to their surrounds and to their people, recognizing the strengths in others. Everyone has strengths. You look where you've come through, who you are today compared to that shy, quiet boy back in those days. And many people have those experiences. They stay with us for a long time until we recognize that we can actually shake that off and be different and become leaders ourselves, as you have become too. So,
yeah, and this is a little off topic, but if you are that team member that is struggling, and maybe your upline leadership or, even a downline has said something in public to humiliate you,
Yeah.
just kind of ignore that. I'm going to share a little story real quick here. Again, like I say, it's off the subject, but I remember my very first podcast that I ever recorded and put up. And Sigrid, you and I are in a lot of the same Facebook community, so I'm not going to use any names, but I posted in these communities, hey, it's my first podcast. Would really appreciate it if you'd go out, like it, leave me a positive review and comment or whatever. And this wasn't in public, but one of the individuals in one of those groups came back and they told me every single thing that was wrong with that podcast and with the channel and with me and with everything else. And this time they could not feel like they could give me a review, but maybe they would at some future date. And, that was pretty devastating to me, because I remember before I ever posted that, I sat there at my computer for about a half an hour trying to push the button, but I couldn't do it. And my wife walked by and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I've got this podcast I'm supposed to push, but I'm too nervous." And she said, "I don't feel sorry for you. You tell your clients to do it all the time, so just push the stupid button." But her comments could have came back and just devastated me, and that could have been my first and last podcast. And of course, if that would have happened, I sure as heck would not be here on Facebook Live where everyone could see my face and see the mistakes I make.
And that's exactly what I was referring to a bit earlier, Mark. That's a type of person who sees the things that are not working. Now, you are bigger than that. You can see what is working and taking those comments on board by saying, "Hey, thanks for pointing that out. Great, I'm going to do it different next time." And doing that as a leader of your team, if a team member, comes back to you out of your network marketing group and says, "Oh, but this is not working and that's not working," which happens. You can be happy and smile at them and say, "Oh, fantastic feedback. Thank you. Let's do it better. And, by the way, if you know how it works better, how about you give me a hand?" That can work really well too, because it challenges them to take on more than what they did so far, perhaps.
Yeah, excellent. I appreciate that. That's an awesome suggestion.